Welcome in, everybody, to the Creed of Crypto podcast, where we provide immersive, essential, and evergreen strategies for the novice cryptocurrency investor. How you doing? I am one half of your hosts, Broke Boi Crypto. I've got with me, as always, the bearded one, Crypto Ewok, here too. We have so much to get into tonight, just like we have the last couple of weeks with this FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried pill orgy situation and all kinds of different stuff. I didn't think I'd be talking about that on this podcast ever, but here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah, we're not going to get. I think we're going to take a little bit of a different angle on this developing story than some other people are, and I am sick of talking about it. Ewok is sick of talking about it. I think we were discussing it off air, and you might be sick of hearing it. So it's not going to be the whole show, but it's going to lead us into a more meaty, more interesting topic. So, Ewok, how you doing? What are you feeling about the markets? What's going on with you?
I'm good. Still hanging in there, waiting for the final nail in the coffin here, so we can get this over with and run. And maybe that final nail is the Gemini episode that's currently happening as well. You know, we'll see how that plays out. I haven't heard a whole lot of fallout other than people can't get withdrawals from the it's called the Genesis platform. It's not Gemini itself, but Gemini lends to Genesis, and another one of those central party risks that we've been telling people to stay away from.
Definitely is, yeah. And I like the term that you use there. I forget how you said it, but like the other shoe to drop. And many people, it's like the first shoe was back in May to June with Terra Luna, Voyager, all these other scam artists with their centralized exchanges and lending platforms going out of business. Three Arrows Capital, all those places, Celsius, of course. Remember those names. But then the other shoe to drop, obviously, has been FTX right now. And we have seen new lows in this crypto bear market. Before we get in, I just want to remind everybody we are at BTC price of 16,670. It looks like a very minor little pump here in the last few minutes. Ethereum is trading just over 1,200 to 1,215. It really felt like the bottom was going to give out today. Saw a lot of sentiment like that on Twitter, but it hasn't happened yet anyway. So before we get too far into it, I want to remind you again, I am Broke Boi Crypto. You can find me on YouTube and Twitter at Broke BOI Crypto. If you like this video, if you like the stream, please do like it, obviously, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and we very much appreciate it. And Ewok, let them know where they can find you as well, because you have a YouTube channel that we want to get people over to as well.
I do. We do stream this on both of our channels. So, we both appreciate the support. Whoever you're a fan of, doesn't matter as long as we're getting the word out there. But I'm at Crypto Ewok, both Twitter and YouTube. So give me a like and a subscribe. The charity never hurts anybody.
Yeah, hit us up. Hit us up on both streams. If you have any comments or questions in the chat, throw them in there tonight, although we do have a busy episode again, as I said. New time tonight, 6 p.m. Got some other commitments, but we will be back to 8 p.m. next Wednesday, Eastern Standard Time. So first off, we're not going to spend too much time on this part before we get into the FTX, SBF, Caroline stuff. But Ewok, so yeah, we just said it a moment ago, new lows over the course of this last week. Obviously, the main catalyst has been the FTX crap. Trading at 16.5K BTC, which is a low compared to the rest. Well, actually, we went into the 15s last week. That's the technically new low in this bear market. But midterm elections in the U.S. are now over. Republicans retain the House. Senate goes to the Democrats, and of course, the White House is Democrats. So that noise is finally over with. There's a million different world issues we could get into, but I know you still think that the ultimate lows are coming. We've been banging the drum of them coming right here in this month in November all year long, and so far, looking pretty good on that prediction. But we've got a lot more to come. In December, we have another FOMC meeting on December the 13th and 14th, where we're likely getting at least another 50 basis point rate hike. Seems like maybe they could soften. I don't know. We're going to see, but at least 50 to 75, we think. So I ask you the question that we've kind of focused on every episode at the beginning, Ewok. Do you think the lows are in? And if not, what does I'll ask you this. What does the rest of the year, this next 6 weeks or so, look like to you?
Well, for Bitcoin and Ethereum and the other coins, I do not think the low is in. I have said a couple times that I do think our hex bottom has happened,
Yeah.
uh, only because there is so much buy support at the levels that they're at. When it does dip, it gets bought right back up. So you might catch a deal. That being said, I think, you know, getting in at these prices is pretty good deal,
Mhm.
because it doesn't seem to want to go much lower. So, but yeah, for the rest of the markets, I do believe there's more to come, more downside.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think the troubling thing with that theory, I guess, sometimes to me, and maybe I shouldn't appeal to authority so much, but there seems to be a lot of people that believe that and have that sentiment that are smart and charting guys and everything, and sometimes to me, it's almost like are there just too many people believing this and expecting it that it doesn't actually come? You know, um,
That's a
what do you think on
possibility. I think it could even go lower than what everyone's saying, because, once things start to trigger, uh, that whole cascade downward spiral can happen pretty quickly.
that? Yeah.
Things get liquidated. There's a lot of people calling 11K, but what happens if we go to 7? I
Oh my
it,
god,
it it's possible. It really is.
Armageddon.
It
Yeah.
yeah, it's possible. Just from all the fallouts from the FTX, from the there's still going to be coins sold, and Richard even said it the other day that he's like, I hope the government sells all the coins. That means they can't dump them later. So
Yeah, get it over with.
yeah,
Yeah.
get it over with. They've got all those Silk Road coins that something's got to happen with. So and again, I I just said the other day, I said I think there's going to be another major event that puts us down there, because I don't think the FOMC meetings or the rate hikes or anything like that is going to get us there naturally. Something else has to trigger this. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I don't think, like, FOMC or anything would be, like, the big catalyst just by that announcement in terms of coming down or anything, but I think it could we've had an amalgam of terrible crap that's happened here recently that maybe we haven't seen the full effects of the FTX collapse just yet, and you are starting to see that, like, kind of sentiment bottom form, and I think some people might want to throw sentiment out the window because it's not on the chart or whatever, but I really think it is important and interesting to look at. And you're getting some of the people that stereotypically always just shit on crypto and shit on Bitcoin and everything like that, starting to say things again. Just before we came on stream, I saw that our friend Charlie Munger, um, Mr. Rat Poison himself, came out with some new comments about how terrible crypto is and had another whole analogy about something about a sewer. I don't know what it is with him and sewers and rats when it comes to crypto, but we got to keep in mind with guys like him is he is 98 years old, which I did
Yep.
not realize until the other day.
Must be where
But
he
he was
hangs
old.
out a lot, in the sewers with the rats.
I guess so. Yeah. Maybe that's what 98-year-olds do. I'm not
I
sure.
guess.
But, we are starting to see more people like that come out, and now, I mean, it's getting to the point where, like, if you tell somebody that you could actually say this is true even towards the top of the market the last couple of years, but it's starting to get to the point where, like, it's I wouldn't be because I don't give a shit what anybody thinks, but that you would be embarrassed by, like, letting somebody know that you're involved in crypto or something. It's now like there Bitcoin's still around. I mean, like, people are starting to, especially with this FTX thing. I mean, it's getting like, black eye, everything's a scam. We're really starting to get that vibe out there.
Well, yeah, but then again, you point to them and all the hexicans that hashtag hex users unaffected. I don't know if it's pissing people off, but it sure does seem to be getting some attention, especially in the spaces online. So, I think you're going to see more of that. You're going to hear the world, the sky is falling and Bitcoin's going to zero. I don't think we've heard as much as we need to yet to signal that, but you're right. It is happening more and more.
Mhm.
They're coming out. It's the worst thing ever, worst investment ever. But they don't look at the charts and they don't see that every 4 years there's an 85% pullback with Bitcoin and a 90% with Ethereum, and 95 sometimes with altcoins.
Right.
It's part of the world that we live in, and we know it, but those people that see those dips, who are traditional investors, just can't seem to wrap their heads around the fact that things can go down that far.
Yeah, they don't have the stomach for it and aren't used to it, I don't think. And it's interesting because for people that have been in crypto that long, you get a reminder of what a bottom feels like. And this is it. I mean, a whole entire exchange going down like this. Um, I mean, now granted, it's not one that you and I were ever involved with, and I don't know. I mean, I guess there was a lot of big ad deals, and now I guess it's a good time to just start transitioning into this mess. But the thing that I saw today, which is absolutely ludicrous, it's stupid, is there were all these ads, obviously, with FTX last year because they were more focusing on upping their brand instead of doing things correctly or anything like that. And they had Tom Brady, obviously, in an ad. They had Larry David. They had well, those are the two big alphas I remember from it anyway. But they're actually being subpoenaed in this class action lawsuit. Like, as if that they would be to blame for people deciding to sign up with the platform. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? I find that pretty odd.
Well, first of all, I haven't heard that. So who's subpoenaing them?
I'll have to actually find it again. So basically, there is a class action lawsuit coming forward against FTX. So I don't
Okay.
know who's
So
heading that off.
the
But
general public is okay.
yes. Yeah.
That makes sense. I don't think anything will come of it. They're
No, me neither.
probably accredited investors. And honestly, those guys are the ones, the Tom Brady's and the Mr. Wonderfuls of the world, because they're accredited investors, they're going to be made well, they won't be made whole, but
Right.
if there's any money to recover, they will substantially get way more than the average person. So, they do have a lot to lose, but I'm sure they put way more on the line.
Right.
So,
Yeah, definitely true. But I heard somebody make the comparison earlier, and I totally agree with this. It's like, for how many years have athletes been on like McDonald's commercials or something like that? Those people are not going to be responsible if you have a blocked artery or something, or
no,
it's just they got hosed as well. It's
sure.
not really their responsibility, but
Well, it's like any other athlete who sponsors anything. Look, if something bad happens to that athlete, those sponsors pull their, they pull their
Mhm.
money really quick. So it kind of goes both ways. They're just as affected as everybody else. This wasn't something that the normal person could have stood back and said, they're going to do this with all your money. But
Right.
it's a centralized exchange. We had no idea of the Ponzi game or shell game that was happening in the background. Over leveraged stuff going on, political parties, different countries. There's a lot. It goes deep. So, I don't
Yeah.
think anybody could really see the magnitude of what was happening. Um, anyway, it
Yeah,
is what it is.
Boy reminds me too that like the entirety, I think, of the Golden State Warriors were involved too, Steph Curry and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's interesting. Weird. We've heard so much about this crazy story so far. That, and I do mean crazy. Obviously, if you're in the crypto space, you do know some of what has been going on with this. It's not just people getting totally screwed out of their money. That said, is it technically their money if it's on an exchange? We're going to get into that in a little bit, which the answer is no. Spoiler alert. But,
Spoiler alert. Not
but
your keys, not your coins.
exactly, yeah, and that is the bigger conversation that we're going to have tonight. We're not just going to have the conversation of like, oh, how do we regulate somebody like a Sam Bankman-Fried in an exchange like this, and everything they did was wrong, and everything. We're going to talk about like why you shouldn't be messing with any of these places.
Yeah.
To begin with. We're going to get into that. But first, let's cover this mess a little bit more. So this FTX story has really, we have found out that there's a lot more like glad handing and back alley deals or whatever going on, laundering, than we even knew to be true. Now, I do want to say one thing. There's been a lot of talk about Sam Bankman-Fried being the second largest donor to the Democratic Party, donating like whatever 40 billion or something like that. Billion, I don't know, whatever, one of those numbers.
40 million, but still,
Yeah.
it was the second largest donor behind George Soros.
Yes, and then the other CEO or whatever from FTX actually was one of the largest donors to the Republican Party too, at 24 million. So I did see that reported multiple times. So While Sam Bankman-Fried, I don't want to, and I know you don't either, Ewok, want to make this like political or like partisan in nature with like, oh yeah, they're bad because they sent money to the Democratic Party.
No, not at all.
We're not a fan of big government no matter what. So I mean, they were funding, both political parties majorly, mainly the Democratic Party. But we're just seeing like a big mess here, and just that there's a deal with multiple devils, it sounds like, with Sam Bankman-Fried. So what do you make of these stories of all these donations to the party, laundering possibilities, money going to Ukraine? I mean, I don't want to get way out of the realm of what we normally talk about, but it's one of those things at this point where when you talk about when you hear the word conspiracy theory now, that's gone from like, oh, that guy's wacko to like, oh, that's likely true. You know what I mean? Like,
well, yeah, and you have to kind of listen to a little bit of everything, make your own judgments, obviously. But yeah, I mean, there's rumors of some of the money that the United States sent to Ukraine being filtered back through FTX from them. It's not really conspiracy. I'm pretty sure that the wallets were public addresses. So, how far conspiracy theory can you go with that? That being said, now that money's gone, are they going to ask us for more?
Right.
There's a whole bunch of stuff going on with Ukraine too. Is now they're finding bombs that or missiles or whatever that they may have used from us in Poland,
right?
And they blamed Russia. So
right.
how deep do you want to go with this? For according to that, but
right.
it all comes back to the main thing is there's dirty players everywhere. And they're trying to get regulation against the things that we don't need regulation against.
Right.
It's they're trying to protect us from ourselves when ourselves aren't the problem. The people that hold their keys that don't use those services are the ones that are doing it right. Unfortunately, I just hope we don't take the brunt of their new regulations that are put in place. And I worry about it because without some sort of centralized entity, that means the middleman, they can't make their money
Yeah.
other than taxes. And, you have to pay your taxes, obviously. I've never been one to dodge that at all. And I don't recommend that anybody else does either. If you have gains, you got to claim it. There are strategic ways to do it. Put it into a company and use that as your company income. And then, you have other write-offs and things like that you can offset them. I'm not a tax advisor, but again, look into it, contact somebody. There's ways that you can, avoid the massive 30-40% taxes from just claiming a whole bunch of gains. So that being said, I won't stay on that subject, but, I just fear that regulation is coming. I know that Sam was definitely pushing it. He was in the Congress with the meetings and things like that, talking about exactly what he did.
Right.
So that's what I find harder to believe than anything. You've got his girlfriend, Caroline, whose dad was a MIT guy who used to be the boss of Gary Gensler from the SEC. So it's a vicious circle. There's so many players involved, and how deep it goes and how corrupt it really is. You use your own judgment, but it's pretty deep state stuff. And,
yeah.
I just hope they all fail. I want them all gone. I think that would be ideal. We have a couple exchanges that we can get in and out of. And then let's all be decentralized like crypto was designed to do. And like Richard Hart's been screaming for years. That's what crypto was invented for. So stop injecting the middlemen. We can't scream it enough. I feel like every week we have to remind people because we are getting new viewers. I mean, our outreach isn't as large as some of the other personalities on here, but you got to scream it to everybody and let them know what the risks really are when it comes to these middlemen. And it's not good. It's usually never a good it's never a good scenario.
Right. Well, especially when there's so many new people still going to enter this space over the next few years. And I will totally admit that I take it for granted. Like when, you get sick of saying like, well, not your keys, not your coins. And it just sounds like a cliche, but there's still so few people in this space that have no idea. And if,
Well,
go ahead.
yeah, you have to explain what that really means. Because to some people, they're like, not your keys, not your coins. I don't get it. It
Mhm.
doesn't make sense to them. You have to really show them what that statement truly means, and explain that self custody of your wallet that has seed words, that nobody else can touch. That's what it really means. Get your money off the exchanges, and you do have to explain it because you're right. As time goes on and as prices go up, more and more people get in. That's usually when they buy, right? When things are going up.
Mhm.
It takes the special ones that can see it for what it is right now as a big dip. And you know again, you'll see a lot more people coming in as the tide turns here. So
Yeah, yeah, and I think what probably happens is these new people come in and they do see some of these exchanges, especially like a Coinbase, which is pretty aesthetically pleasing, pretty easy to use for anybody that has used it. Say whatever you want about Coinbase otherwise, but it's sleek enough looking that you could mistake it for an Ally or a Discover or a Goldman Sachs Bank or whatever, like some of these easy little bank apps that you have on your phone. Like, so people may just think that there's no issue leaving their Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever else just on the Coinbase app, or God forbid, like crypto.com. Or I'm not
yeah.
saying there's something happening with any of these places, but like, I keep almost slipping into the bigger point. We're kind of already talking about it that we're going to get to, and I don't want to yet, but I just want to say this, and I don't want to get us too off topic, but this is just relevant to where I am right now. But Richard Hart, in one of the spaces that he was on Twitter the other day, which we're going to get to this again, he's been on many of them lately, and is just regardless of what you think of Hex or anything like that, I don't care about that. He has been spitting truth bombs to the people that are in these spaces, and I want to give credit to it's Kim.com and another guy that I'll look them up in a moment, but they're running these great spaces to their credits and giving all these great people the platform. And Richard is coming on, and yeah, in his own way and in his own style, yes, but he's coming on and schooling all these people that are more legacy people that don't understand what crypto is actually supposed to be, and showing how like something like this that happened with FTX, if it was going to happen, I'm glad it happened. Again, flush them out. But he's getting to the point where somebody said to him, posed a question to him the other day. Well, Richard, you can't take credit and say that you knew that FTX was going to go down. And he's like, yeah, I can. And what he meant by that was not specifically, yes, I knew that FTX was going to go down, but he's like, for years, I've been saying to not be involved with these exchanges and don't have your coins on exchanges. So it's any of them. It doesn't
Yep.
matter that it was FTX. I mean, it could have been, I mean, I don't think
Guys,
this
it
would
could be
happen.
Coinbase. It could be Coinbase.
Exactly. Yes.
It's
I
the
was going to say
same
Binance. Yeah.
thing. Or Binance.
Mhm.
Yep, exactly. You don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry, I
Yeah.
didn't mean to interrupt you, but I
No,
was
that
just
was pretty
making
much
your
it.
point.
Just the fact that, like, yeah, he didn't call FTX, but it's like anytime you are in any of these, you are at risk. You just have to understand that. And I don't know why I hear all these traders, even right now, at this point of this market, that have this big balance on there. And I lost everything that was on FTX. Like, okay, I understand if that's the way you want to make your living, but like maybe change to penny stocks or more volatile stocks or something like that. I don't know what to tell you, but like,
Yep.
stop leaving stuff on there.
Yep, I agree. Can we get to this question real quick? It'll take a minute to answer. Frail Boy says, thoughts on Metaverse, Decentraland, or Sandbox? I'm going to have to divert back to what Richard Hart said, because he's been right about just about everything. And basically says the Metaverse is a big nothing burger. You might be able to make a little bit of money here and there, but essentially the Metaverse is equal to the old chat lobbies of the IRC with screen names and icons that can talk to each other. He seems to think it's going to be nothing. We'll see how it plays out, but I don't get myself involved with any of those. How about you?
While I'm aware of these two tokens, I don't have a lot of experience with either of them. I will say that I know a bit about Illuvium. ILV is the ticker on that, and I know Kieran Warwick is the guy in charge of that. I am intrigued with everything I've seen with Illuvium, and I think it might be a standout when it comes to any GameFi type tokens, but possibly the next bull market. And it, right now is dirt cheap, not financial
Right.
advice or anything. But yeah, I'm not going to pretend I know something I don't know. But that is one that
Okay.
has interested me
And,
anyway.
and Decentraland is Mana, right? I
I
believe.
believe so. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. As far as price performance goes on the next bull market, they'll probably go up in value. But will they stick around? That's the thing.
Yeah.
If you're going to buy bottoms and sell tops, anything is good. That,
Exactly.
but hanging on to them long term, Zuckerberg just laid off 11,000 or so people who were working in the Meta. Now, I don't know
Mhm.
if that was all the Facebook platform or some of the metaverse stuff that that they were also doing, but that says something there too. So, anyway,
Yeah.
I just wanted to touch on that real quick while it was there, and we didn't forget about it.
I do personally think that GameFi is going to be I don't know enough about what you would consider metaverse and what isn't metaverse and all that stuff or anything, but I do think that GameFi is going to be a thing over the next cycle. And I think there's going to be intriguing options. Like you just said, Ewok. I mean, these are all speculative vehicles.
Sure.
If you hold something that goes up in price, yeah, that's good for you. But that's the thing is knowing which one it's going to be, which is obviously a test. So,
Yeah. Yep.
um, rounding off on this FTX thing, is something that's really irritating me a bit about it, and I'm sure you would probably feel the same way, is almost instantaneously you're starting to see these like Sam Bankman-Fried apologists out there, which I don't understand at all. Well, I saw a tweet from Altcoin Daily. One of them that basically culminated at the end of the sentence was saying that there has to be a road to redemption or something to the effect, like
For them,
you know, y- for Sam Bankman-Fried.
well, no,
Um,
for them, they need to apologize to people for pushing that shit and
yes,
all of their referral links, because that's how the majority of these guys make their money. So,
yes,
as far as I'm concerned, their apologies don't mean shit. They're
no,
the ones that were getting people wrecked with the referral links, shoving them in that direction. So, I'm sorry I cut you off, but
I agree.
that's what pisses me off.
Yes, it's these people that are putting their fingers in the mud all this time and then thinking that they could just back off of it. And it's not a secret to anybody anymore. I mean, like with Twitter and everything, you can really get the energy and be able to read the room. Those guys get ratioed on half their tweets because everybody knows they're, I mean, like who they're paid by and everything. But like obviously they're saying that because they've, you know, shilled that product and stuff like that. But also, you know, I remember people saying this is a weird comparison, maybe, but with Louis C.K. a couple of years ago, the comedian, it was like, there has to be a road to redemption. And yeah, for a guy like him, after being chastised off the face of the earth for a year or two for some somewhat strange sexual misgivings, yeah, eventually he should be allowed to walk and breathe again. Sam Bankman-Fried committed something a bit more sinister than that. It had happened like a week ago. That we now know anyway.
Right.
So yeah, maybe a redemption day can come, but I don't think anybody really wants to hear that right now.
No,
Um,
too
yeah,
soon, that
right,
whole yeah,
right.
people are still trying to figure out how they're gonna recoup all of the money that they just lost. I think it's too early for any kind of redemption. The guy really needs to sit in jail for a while.
All of these guys do, and none of them are. They're all
Right?
on the run.
I know.
I
and,
just,
and who knows where Sam is? I've heard rumors of he's still in the Bahamas where they're keeping an eye on him. But
yeah,
somebody with that much money, and all the extra money that was filtered out of there through the extra back doors was going to their accounts. So
hmm
they took what was remaining and supplied themselves with a nice little couple $100 million of funds.
right.
I'm sure
But
they
they're
can
all out
leave.
there.
I'm sure they
They're
can
all
leave the
out there.
Bahamas. Yeah, yeah, they are. They're on the run, but
Yeah.
and then there's other rumors of him being in Argentina, where their flight or their private jet was in Argentina at least. Who knows who was on it or for what reason, but
Yeah.
yep.
I saw somebody apparently tweeted a picture of what was him today in the Bahamas at some store. I don't know if that was legit. It could have just been some other strange looking man, but I don't know if that was him or not. But anyway, yeah, he's on the run. Do Kwon's on the run. Mashinsky's out there. What's his name from Three Arrows Capital, who's now coming out and criticizing Sam Bankman-Fried as if he's done nothing wrong now.
Zusu.
That I can't keep track of them all anymore. I forget where he's from. I think he's from Voyager.
Oh, right? Zusu?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I think he's Voyager. Three Arrows Capital is real normal name. I can't think of it, but really smarmy stuff coming from him right now. He's literally on the run and just did an interview with like whatever, I don't even know what it's called, the Squawk Box or some crap, some MSNBC or CNN. Oh, okay. I don't know what it is. But he's doing an interview and he's like out there somewhere. I don't know. And he's just crapping on Sam Bankman-Fried when he's done similar things. So,
well, from what I understand, because I think FTX and Alameda were part of the reason Three Arrows Capital, they got busted because of what they were doing. So they were all leveraging each other.
Oh, that is Suzu. Yeah, he's the sorry to interrupt you, but yeah, he is the CEO. But I'm talking of Kyle Davies. That's who Kyle Davies. Kyle Davies. He's the co-founder. Anyway,
yeah, there was a couple of them, but I think Zuzu was the main guy. But either way, yeah, they're causing each other to fail. Like they were all borrowing money that wasn't theirs. And then over leveraging it. So as we said, when one thing happens, the dominoes really start to fall. And when the tide goes out, you're going to see who's not wearing any swim trunks, and that's what's happening. It's just causing a domino effect of which one's next. And there will probably be another one again. If it's this Genesis platform, that could be, the next one. And we probably ought to look up to see what other centralized lending platforms are out there, but there could be a bunch more.
Yeah. A lot of people like to apparently swim in the ocean naked from what it appears. So
looks that way.
That's where we're at right now. But yeah, again, and that brings us to the broader point here. I would like to get your take on this, Ewok, and you can have like a balanced approach to this, I guess. But like on one hand, you feel bad for the people, obviously, that lost any funds on any exchange ever, and regardless of the amount, if it is something that happened in this way, On the other hand, if you spend 6 months around crypto, even, I would say, maybe even 3, and have any basic understanding of it, I just can't find it within me to understand how somebody would be leaving funds on exchanges. I just, I'm about a lot about self-ownership and accountability and everything like that. And I just can't understand these swaths of people that have way more money than you should probably even have in one of the banks that you are associated with on an exchange. I can't understand it. So like, I guess I feel bad for some of them. It's all circumstantial, right? But I don't know how at this point you could have substantial amounts of money on any exchanges, even before this happened, but especially now.
I don't get it either. And for some of these people that if that's really what they want to do, I saw Johnny Chaos said something earlier this to the same effect, is if that is what you want to do, then get out of crypto and go back to your bank.
Yeah. It's kind of like what I said earlier. Yeah.
You shouldn't even be here. For me now, I did a very similar thing. I put money into a platform and didn't know any better. So, but I can't, use I didn't know any better anymore. That's how you learn. And unfortunately, that's how we shake out every 4 years. Things like this happen. People get washed out. Only the strong survive. And then you get a whole new breed, and it's going to happen again. Dude, it's going to happen again in the next bull cycle. People are going to get caught into things that they really shouldn't be in. And gonna use the no one told me or whatever it might be. It'll be a different game, a different something, but they always kind of copy paste and reframe what narrative it is, but it's the same outcome almost every time.
Right. Did you see Johnny Chaos is no longer on Twitter either, by the way?
I saw that.
Which we're going to get into the reason possibly why here in a little bit, not with him specifically, but in general. But transitioning a little bit even more to that bigger argument or that bigger thesis is I'm convinced that these people just don't really understand what crypto is or what it's meant to be. There's way too many legacy TradFi people like the Mr. Wonderfuls and all that of the world that are getting involved in crypto. And hey, I'm not gatekeeping anybody. I mean, you can do whatever you want to do. But these people are getting involved that don't understand what crypto is actually supposed to be and trying to turn it into legacy finance, which is what we all don't want any part of anymore.
That's why
And
we're
it's
here.
like, exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
And again, and I saw some good tweets. I forget who did say this, but you see the sentiment of a few places about how, none of this was Bitcoin's fault. None of this is Ethereum's fault. This isn't crypto's fault. These are like bad actors from legacy finance that are leveraging their way to more riches and screwing over, as with much economic things in the United States, it's a class war, and who do you know? It's about that. But this isn't what crypto is. Like, none of this stuff is what crypto is. Exchanges are solely meant to get in and get out. We've talked about stable coins as well. We did a little bit last week. I feel the same about that. I try to use them. Obviously, exchanges, there's much more risk, leaving your stuff there. But with a stable coin, I'm not really a fan of like buying thousands of dollars and even USDC and just letting it sit for a while I DC into the market. Some people are. That's fine for you. But I just want to control my own stuff and have it in a token that I feel confident in. That's what crypto actually is, and actually owning your keys. And that brings us to Richard Hart, creator of Hex, creator of Pulse Chain, which will eventually be out, which we're going to talk about tonight. I think he's getting more good cred and more notoriety right now as these other suits from legacy finance that are supposed to be the people you trust because they look a certain way or act a certain way or whatever, that Richard Hart doesn't. I think he's starting to get more credibility because people are realizing what these places are doing. Because, for a whole exchange to go up in flames like this. And Richard Hart has been on these spaces the last few days. I wanted to real quick just say who it is that's heading these up because they are awesome and they're really giving a great platform to.
His name's Mario.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, Mario
Narwhal or something like that.
It's not Narwhal, but yeah, close enough. But he is
kudos
fantastic.
to him. Yeah, he's doing great things, leading some really good spaces, having some really good guests on that do know their stuff. And Richard, he was the one that said, "Hey, I see Richard Hart's in the room. I want to invite him up." So he sent him a message.
Yes.
And he's even enthralled with the words of Mr. Hart, and it seems a lot of people are starting to learn. And I honestly think that Richard said some time ago, this goes to the whole outrage marketing that he's been doing with the fancy clothes and the buying all kind of crap, and he said, until I find a better way, I'm going to keep doing this until that happens. But I think we found a better way, and that is him getting into these spaces and just spouting truth, because you're right, he's spitting fire.
Yes, he is.
And a lot of people, might not like his delivery. A lot of them comment on his delivery and said, Richard, I like what you're saying, but you really have to be a little bit more understanding to the people that are really hurting right now. And Richard's like, fuck you.
Boy. Get out of
He's
here,
like, get out. I don't care. I've been warning these people and they're not listening to me. So I'm not going to be nice to them. I do feel bad that they've lost their money. But it's time they start to listen, because when I was nice about it, nobody listened to me. So now I'm going to do it this way. And, hopefully from me yelling from the rooftop and giving you the truths that you need to hear, hopefully it's going to catch some people's attention. And I really think it is working, because I see, I think he's gained, honestly, 30, maybe 40,000 Twitter followers in the last week and a half.
Oh, I totally believe it, because there's thousands of people in these spaces, and he spent 2 hours on the one that I just linked, the one really good one in the chat here for everybody on my side. If you, I don't know if you can see it or steal it from me and put it in yours too. But and thank you, more Hex. Yeah, I just saw your comment. Thanks for checking it out, man. But yeah, I shoot, where was I going with this? Oh, there's thousands of people in these spaces. So it would see, and for anybody who's ever attended a space and had a chance to talk to a lot of people and say something kind of good, you'll know that you start to get followers like immediately. I don't know what the retention always is on that, but for Richard to be doing what he's doing in these big rooms, he's gaining followers. And yeah, there are people that whine about the way that he says things, but there's also more regular people that um, are qualifying their statements a little bit better and saying like, hey, I do wish you would present it in a different manner. However, I do see that the points that you're saying are obviously valid with everything that we have seen. And the message, what the message is saying is more important and more clear to me than the way you're delivering it. And that's where I think you have to get to in this scenario with him. I mean, it just is. I don't know what else to tell you. And I agree. I mean, like, people aren't going to discover, you don't know what you don't know, and people aren't going to discover him and discover that message and stuff without him being in these rooms and being the kind of guy he is. If he was just dry and not saying it with passion or anything, then, nobody would really listen. So there's value to what he's saying, even if he's cussing and swearing and sounding arrogant on the way to doing it. The message at the end of the day is a good message, and that's what people have to focus on.
and like today, he told someone to suck their balls or suck his balls because the guy wasn't listening and he was arguing and calling Richard a liar. So, I mean, I would get pissed off too if somebody was calling me a liar when there's flat out proof that there's a disclaimer. That was one of the things the guy kept saying. There's no disclaimer anywhere that says you could, but it's all over the website. It's at the bottom of it's everywhere. And I think that guy was really put in his place by many of the Hexicans after that. They tweeted him.
He got ratioed to hell. Every single tweet that he got. Oh my God.
Everything. Yeah. And they did from the Wayback Machine. He's like, oh, well, it wasn't there at the beginning. So they pulled out the Wayback Machine from December 6th, I think it was, of 2019, which is 3 days after it launched. And sure enough, that disclaimer was there. So, and then he made a comment like, well, I forget what he said. I feel disappointed or something like that. Now, I don't know what he was disappointed. I stopped reading after that, but I agree. This is definitely the way to, and so here's the thing: when he's dressing flashy and buying all this stuff, he might be getting eyes on people that aren't even in crypto, which is great. But that brings a lot of people into the space that really don't know what they're doing. So there's a lot of education cost, not really cost, but acquisition. You know what I mean? There's a lot of time and energy that's devoted to no coiners, which there's nothing wrong with that. And honestly, I would rather onboard a no coiner anyway, because they're not going to hear of all these things that are probably going to get them wrecked. If I can lead them in the right direction and show them, what I'm doing, I think it's a lot easier than someone that's got a lot of bad habits that wants to use every exchange and leverage and, their buddies are trading and claiming that they're making money. It just gives people bad ideas. But at the same time, when you're in Twitter and mostly crypto Twitter, those people know what they're doing. They know how to open a wallet. They know what they're doing. They know what Uniswap is. There's very little cost of, acquisition as far as, and it's not a cost. Don't take that the wrong way. But it's the time involved. And unfortunately, all this stuff coming with the inquisitive letters from the SEC isn't going to make things any easier. So I'm sure we'll get there in a few.
We're going to get there in a minute. It's Maddie Greenspan, actually, the person that went toe-to-toe with Richard today, at Maddie Greenspan. But yeah, he another thing that was interesting is how he got upset at Richard for his language and then just began hurling F-bombs at him over and over. Back to
that
Richard. So I thought that was kind of weird.
Kind of funny.
But I think that where it started is Maddie was really defending what was going on with Genesis and Gemini right now to no end. And Richard was wondering, I think that's when he said something about Maddie's potential relationship with the Winklevosses and probably said something weird and funny. But yeah, Maddie's last tweet here from 3 hours ago looks like he said, I guess Richard had tweeted out Maddie's stuff, and was just talking about some of the things that he was saying,
Mm-hmm.
and said this registered investment advisor is what's wrong with the world, meaning Maddie.
Yeah, yeah. He was
And
giving out all his eToro links, and is that what you're referring to?
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Maddie retweeted it and said, "Thanks for sending your army after me today, Dick. Picked up a few hundred followers. This is the part I don't understand. I truly feel bad for all the people you scammed. I don't. I just don't know what he's talking about. I guess maybe he does, but not just because they'll lose their money, but because they all become extremely bitter once they are disheartened. Yeah, I just and something that Richard said too, and I agree with him, and I don't know if this is where Maddie was going as well, but like if you consider being scammed, buying tops and selling bottoms or whatever, that's just not being scammed. Like losing on paper, not actually, like theoretically, lots of money temporarily, is
Yeah,
not being scammed.
yeah. It's on
So
paper.
I don't, yeah,
It's not real
so
gains. It's not real losses.
yeah,
Not until you sell.
yeah,
So yeah, people that can't handle the dips in the markets, and he even said it. We were up 10,000x. We dropped 95%. Still
right,
at a 6,000x or whatever the hell it is. It doesn't cancel out everything. There's still a lot of people that are in major profit, and I can't wait till the next bull market to shut some of these guys up. But then again, it'll be like, well, because
yeah.
everybody's so locked up, it's just a very, very delayed Ponzi. Eh,
Right, right. It'll go on forever. It's
It
just
will.
it's who they are. It's not really what it is or anything. It's just who they are
Right.
and how they look at the world. And that's okay too. Like I'm not even going to be overly critical of these people or anything like that.
Can't
Um
save them all. Can't save them
yeah.
all.
Well, not only that, but like if that's your outlook of the world, okay, then you would never work in a system like this and that's fine. But I don't know how much time you want to waste criticizing it if you see year over year after a year, it's not,
Yeah.
netting the negative results you think it is. But um
No, and the
let
Hexicans need to
go ahead.
learn to just block people like that. A
Yeah,
little
yeah,
engagement is fine. Rough them up a little bit, and then just block them because it doesn't do anybody any good. We got to get back to telling the people that really want to hear what's going on.
mhm, yeah. And
Not
Richard
wasting
doing
our
that
time on them.
and exposing some of that guy's tweets and stuff, um, you can call that whatever you want if you wanna go down the bullying route or whatever, but to me, it's once again a guy who is actually doing things in DeFi the right way,
Mm.
exposing somebody he feels is doing something the wrong way, and that's what's
Yeah,
so messed up about all this is, again, because of legacy finance, everybody has this idea that if you're in a suit and if you act a certain way or whatever, you are the one to be trusted. And it isn't like that anymore. Not only is it 2022 and people don't act like that all the time anymore, but also crypto's different. I mean, like, look at John McAfee, for
yeah,
example.
yeah.
I mean, like, you're gonna have eccentric guys out here, and you can be eccentric and create superior products. That's just the way it works.
I'm
So,
I'm looking for the disclaimer because I know it's on their
oh, okay,
website.
yeah. If you find it, share your screen.
Well, I don't see it. It does say like 67% of eToro users lose money. I know there's a disclaimer on it
On that guy's stuff. I see what you're saying.
somewhere. So I mean, exactly, where is their disclosure? Is it maybe it's in the disclosure? I
Yeah,
don't see
those
it at
usually are
the time.
not made easy to find. I mean, that's
No,
just kind of the way that goes. Yeah,
no, and I do remember like um, Richard had said it's right on their website. So I thought it
yeah,
was pretty easy to find, maybe not, but anyway, yeah,
yeah.
people
And
like that
on
are getting people wrecked, and
yeah,
kudos to him for calling out the guys that are doing that shit. Um, he deserves it. If 67% of people are losing money on eToro, and he's there promoting it, and damn well the 33% that are making money aren't making near as much as the 67 that are losing.
hmm,
Um, it's not good. So
right.
I'm glad he called him out.
Yeah, and the hex.com disclaimer section, which you can find at the bottom of the page, the whole way
Mhm.
to the left, is lengthy, well written. He has an example of the Howey test on here, even for Hex.
Yep.
Legal disclaimer at the bottom, which is very lengthy. So it's all very, I mean, Hex, I think, has one of the better sites in crypto. But um, kind of finishing off with the last part of this, and it is hex centric as well. And that is that we are seeing a lot of the prominent, have been out there for a while, um, hex content creators, whether on YouTube, podcasts, Twitter, whatever. Um, a lot of them that are notable that we know that have been around these markets for a long time, receiving subpoenas, or I guess inquiries anyway,
Yeah,
from
they're
the
not.
SEC.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
not
not really
subpoenas,
subpoenas.
inquiries.
They're discovery inquiries. Basically they're trying to find out if people have been paid to talk about it.
Mhm.
And I can honestly say nobody's been paid. We love it.
Right,
We
right.
love the product. We see what it is. It's a finished product, and the community has gone over and beyond what anybody could imagine to accomplish some of the things that we've done.
Mhm.
And I've personally donated to a lot of these causes, like the NASCAR and the documentary, and all the other. There's so many other little things here and there that we've donated our own money to. So to say we're being paid, but there's no company to pay us. We're sure as
Right.
hell's not getting anything from Richard. Hexologist went over to London for the big meetup and the birthday, and sat down, went to lunch with Richard, and Richard made Hexo pay. I don't know if you've
That's
ever heard
great.
that story or
I
not,
never
but
did,
he
no,
never he
that's
didn't
good.
even buy the guy
Come
lunch,
on, Richard. What is that, man?
So I mean, well, but honestly,
Yeah, I
it's
know, I get
probably
it, though.
it's
I
good he
get it.
didn't.
Yeah,
It's
it's
good
good.
he didn't.
I'm
So
with you. That's
I
funny.
mean, yeah, that's just kind of where it is. It's all discovery, and honestly, I think it's a good thing. Unfortunately, these guys are going to have to spend some money out of their pocket to hire lawyers and to get it resolved. But once it does, it's just another mark of excellence on our track record.
Mhm.
If
Yeah.
they once they see and understand how the Hexi community is, um, you know, there's really no question. It's not a security. I don't see how they could deem it one,
Right.
and it's just even better. It's one of those things we can talk about and say, look, the SEC looked into us already and said it's not a
Right.
security.
I was just gonna say the same thing. It's another huge
Uh,
battle test to just
yeah,
have happen. Yeah,
yep.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah, it's, I guess maybe we could address too. Now, I wouldn't think that any of our viewers would be somebody who would actually receive one of these, since it's more, it seems to be well-known content creators, unless it's people out there that we just don't know have gotten one yet. I saw Trevon had one, Hexologist. I think that's
Ma-
the only ones we confirmed that we know.
Maddie got one too.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
So safe to say they're probably not the only ones, but yeah, I mean, to me, once this is all blown over, and that's what I think will happen, it's another huge point for Hex, and for Richard Hart, and adding to the legitimacy of this product in a very illegitimate, um, sometimes crypto world, with
Yeah.
people, again, these old suits that want to come in and do things the old way.
Well, they want to regulate it so they can get their piece.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
what it boils down to. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think there's any other way you can twist or frame it. That's what it really comes down to: is how do we get a piece of this and still allow it to happen?
Hmm. Yeah. So, what do you think? I know you don't have a crystal ball, but what do you think? I assume with these inquiries, is it's just going to be, retain a lawyer, answer their questions. I guess it sounds like a good idea to not talk about your investments in the meantime, just
Right.
while this stuff is sorted out.
And that's why a Hexologist today had his last stream and said, the lawyers have advised me not to talk about my investments.
Yeah.
Um, and a lot of the comments were like, well, Hexo, you can talk about Pulse Chain because it's not out yet.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, let's not even
Let's
get
just
down
be
that road
safe.
yet. Yeah, let's
Right.
just be safe. And then he ended up playing the song "The Final Countdown"
I saw
from
that.
from start to finish, and his video ended up getting removed because of I guess, who is it? Sony Entertainment or something owns the rights to it.
Right.
So it's gone. It says, and people were like, "Oh no, what happened?"
Yeah, they think it was something like, yeah, he got rugged by the government. He's
Yeah,
gone.
no, it's not that. It's the fact that he had a copyright infringement and they removed him.
Something he was guilty of. Yeah, copyright
Yeah, he
infringement.
did. No, he did. He did it. He said he didn't care because he
Yeah,
said it's his last video here for a while until everything gets taken care of. But he
yeah,
said he would be back, and I'm glad he's been a staple to the whole Hexican community forever.
yeah.
And kudos to the guy who streamed that many days in a row every day,
I don't
day
know how
after
you could
day.
do it.
I don't know how I did it either. Now,
Weekends and
obviously,
stuff.
he's a stay-at-home dad, so he could take the time to do it
Well, to
every
me,
day.
that's even more. Even more. I didn't know if he was a dad or not. I mean, to me, that's even more
Oh, he's
difficult.
got two little ones. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
got
yeah.
two little ones and another one on the way. And actually, his wife got a one of those letters
I
too.
saw that. Yeah, she got one
I
too.
I think what that is a lot of couples have money funneled through a spouse. Uh,
Hmm.
so that I'm sure that's why it was. It's one of the old business tricks that there are out there is, well, we'll put this in her name and nobody will
Right.
ever know.
It's almost
People,
like a crypto
people,
exchange funneling money through like a party or something like that.
yeah, or a crypto exchange funneling money through their investment company,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
with a secret back door to move funds where nobody can really know.
Right.
I want to
Well,
answer Andrew's
okay.
question here
Go
real
ahead.
quick, and my prediction is 2. He says, so how many more exchanges go defunct in the next 30 days? Got to think a lot of people are bailing from certain exchanges. And I'm just going to guess 2. I don't know the answer. I really hope that there's not anymore. I don't want to see um, any of them go down, but we kind of need to shake them out. Unfortunately, it's a necessity that we've got to see here to get to the bottom of this bear market and uh, feel the max pain. So if you've got
Yeah.
money on exchanges, get it off because it might be yours.
Well, everybody loves this contagion word right now, right? You were talking about the domino effect and everything. And yeah, like one does have to do with the other. There's going to be overlap. I don't know that 2 more exchanges full blown go down like that. I could maybe see another one go half down, or there be some really tough news. But yeah, I don't think we'll just see exchanges falling left and right. But I do think it will be good to clean out the crap ones right now, like we've kind of been echoing throughout this episode, and just get rid of the dead weight as we're at the dead point of this market and see who comes back.
Yeah.
Coinbase is going to come back. Coinbase has become a stable. They have. Say what you want about Brian Armstrong or anybody else with Coinbase or anything, but they basically made an effort to be like fully transparent with the government. I mean,
Well, unfortunately, yeah, that
yeah, exactly.
includes all the
Blessing and
users' information. Uh,
exactly. Yeah.
but you have to look at there's rumors of Huobi having
Yes.
some issues. There's issues currently with the Gemini thing, so we'll see what happens there. Also, rumors around crypto.com. And crypto.com is one that I'm kind of concerned about because
I am too.
just like FTX, they kind of happened out of nowhere and exploded.
Spent shitloads
We're
of money last
talking
year.
spending shitloads of money on arenas or all the sponsorships.
Yeah.
Crypto.com is on
Matt
umpires'
Damon commercial.
jerseys. They're on all the UFC fights. It's on the ring. They sponsored the Crypto.com Center as one of the, it's a arena.
Yeah.
They're just everywhere, and Super Bowl ads. It's just they did a kind of a mirror thing to FTX, which leads me to believe. I hope they weren't doing the same thing, but they could have been. Who knows?
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I worry for them because I do like their platform. I like their I like their credit card, and it's an easy way to throw some money over and spend it. You don't really have to have an on board or off board. Off ramp, I guess you could say. It just makes it nice and convenient. So I worry about them.
I think the best thing to say for anybody that's trying to scout for or against an exchange for crypto in the foreseeable future is one thing I'll say is you do kind of naturally develop this spidey sense the longer that you're in this market and can tell what's good and what isn't. And I agree with you wholeheartedly on the crypto.com assessment for the exact same reasons that you do. And honestly, I know this stuff with Genesis, Gemini going on right now is giving people a red flag. I saw months ago that the Winklevoss twins, I heard somebody say it, and this may not mean anything, I don't know, but it sketched me out enough to not use Gemini, and I didn't need to anyway, so who cares? But they scraped everything to do with Gemini from their Twitter, Twitter profiles, both of them.
Yeah, they went out on tour.
Yeah, they went out on tour as some kind of strange cover band. So I was like, well, I mean, a lot of times when people would mention Gemini and how they're one of the better exchanges, it would be because, oh yeah, it's the Winklevoss twins, and you know that and all that stuff. So it may be nothing, but for me, it was enough to be like, nothing. I don't need anything on there. I like Kraken a lot. I don't mind Coinbase. That's where I'll go for now,
Yep.
And again, you're not keeping funds on here for a long time anyway. I mean, like, if I absolutely needed to buy something on Gemini right now, I'd probably do it, and I'd immediately send it out. I mean, I'd get it out of there to one of my wallets,
I heard someone, I was referring to it as going into the slums, and say you knew that there was something at a pawn shop in the slums that you really wanted. So you get in, you get your stuff, and you get out before you get mugged. Well, That's kind of what the exchanges are. Somebody referred to it as something about the brothel. You go in, you do your business, and you leave. You don't spend the night. So
yeah, you're a little ashamed of it, but it's kind of necessary to do business. And
yeah,
that's pretty much it. Yeah, and until we have some other kind of on ramp, what are you going to do?
Yeah, no, and I agree with you. I think it's good to have a backup. You said Coinbase and Kraken. I actually did have Coinbase, Gemini, and Crypto.com. So I'll be kind of hurt if two of those three go down.
Right.
I am looking at probably opening an account with Kraken. I've heard a lot of good things.
I recommend
Richard.
It's my favorite.
Richard supports it, and he's mentioned that that exchange quite a bit lately for United States folks. So
yes, yeah, easily my favorite. And I did, and it was nice to hear Richard go off on a nice tangent about Kraken the other day too. So so that's the thing. You want to look out for which ones to use and which ones not to use. I think that you and I both, not financial advice, just from our experience, Kraken, Coinbase. I never had any problems with Gemini, and I think their layout's really nice. But I don't know, with things going on right now, I'm not using it. So,
like I said, we don't keep anything there. Even if we did use it, get it in, get it out. You know what I mean? It's and obviously what you said there, none of this is ever financial advice. It's your money. You press the button and do what you decide to do. We only talk about our experiences and what we're doing. So
this can be a dangerous space here and there for somebody who's new, but take responsibility for it. Hedge your bets, stick around, and it's not going to be so dangerous likely after a while for you, because you'll be running some stuff out here.
Yeah, and listen to the people who are trying to help you and not trying to get you fed to the meat grinder.
Yeah. Well, hey, I think this is a good place to wrap it up. We covered a lot of great stuff tonight. I'm sure we're going to have even more ammo to continue on next Wednesday night. Hey, that's going to be Thanksgiving Eve, I just realized. So
it is.
Biggest drinking night of the year. Maybe we should get involved in a little. Maybe we should partake a little bit here on the.
Maybe we'll have a few drinks. That's right. I'll be getting the turkey ready for the following day.
There you go.
Have the family coming into town, and
it
should be a good time.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one. We'll see what drama the crypto universe wants to throw our way until then, or maybe there won't. Maybe we'll have they'll respect the holiday season, and we'll just kind of have some hucksters out there taking a break from crypto.
Hey, Frail Boy, get your shit off of Gemini.
Me and Frail Boy should be friends. I feel like Broke Boy, Frail Boy. There's some similarities there, right?
Dude, we're warning you. We're seeing everything fall around you. Get your stuff. You got $6,000 on there. You know what that $6,000 could turn into in the next bull run?
Yeah, get it out of there.
Get it out of there. Self-custody. I hope if it's Bitcoin or something like that, send it to an Exodus wallet. If it's Ethereum based, send it to MetaMask. If you need
just get yourself a
look
wallet.
It up. Yeah, get yourself a wallet. YouTube. There's all kind of stuff out there on how to download MetaMask wallets and things like that. Just, dude, take care of yourself, man. That's just silly. You're asking for trouble.
Yeah, definitely. It's Ewok's right. It's very easy on YouTube just to find how to set up a MetaMask wallet, Exodus, whatever. And if I were you, and if you can, I'd just do both. Send a little bit of it to each one, and just be careful with what you're doing out there. So,
And another
go ahead.
pointer is if you've got $6,000, send it in 2,000 increments. I wouldn't send it all at once. What if you make a mistake? Or maybe you've gone over a withdrawal limit or something like that. Send it out in little chunks. It's much better than either having it sent to the wrong place, or if they just decide they don't want to send you your money because it is a large amount. They That could happen. But if you send it in smaller chunks, chances are you may pay a little bit more in transaction fees, but they will probably go through since they're not major amounts. So that's just a little
Yeah.
hopefully helpful tidbit for you on that.
At the very least, just do a test transaction. Send like $10 of it or something like that to the wallet that you set up, and then send the rest, whatever you want to do. Cold wallets are the best. Ledger
Yep.
Nano is fine. We're both pretty big fans of Trezor Model T. Yeah, is the newest one. But yeah, cold wallet's the way to go. So if you can get one of those, for sure. So
it's a little more advanced if you know what you're doing. That's the route to go.
We got to get out of here for this evening, though. I think we could probably go another hour with all the things going on in crypto. But Ewok, remind everybody where they can find you.
You can find me, Crypto Ewok, YouTube, Twitter. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, follow, click the bell, all that good stuff. That's where I'm at.
I am Broke Boi Crypto, BOI. You can find me there on YouTube, obviously, if you're watching there, as well as Twitter, and trying to get a video out every single day. A lot of times what we'll do is take some of the best little tidbits out of this stream right here and publish those as well, since Ewok and I always have some great conversations. So
yeah, he chops them up and says, Ewok, I told you so. I read the white paper. It's all your
fault. Oh, yeah. Yep. People loved your Zen response there, but
no, I still never changed my outlook after listening to you read the white paper.
Well, never deny what a good thumbnail can do for you.
I know,
pretty crazy.
Clickbait heaven, love it.
Yeah. Well, hey guys, thank you to everybody in the chat for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. We're going to keep at this every single Wednesday night, usually at 8 p.m. Eastern. So we will see you then. Follow us, hit us up, subscribe. We very much appreciate it. And we will catch you next week right here on the Creed of Crypto podcast.